Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited that you clicked on today's video because we're going to be talking about all things junk journaling. Junk journaling is by far my most favorite hobby, and I feel like it's getting more and more popular online, which makes me really happy. I'm going to just walk you guys through, I guess, what the concept of junk journaling actually is, everything that I think you might need to get started with a junk journal, and then I'm also going to share some of my favorite tips and tricks that have personally helped me in my journey of junk journaling. And I think I will end off today's video with a little junk journal with me just to walk you through the process of junk journaling and what it looks like for me. So if you want to just learn more about what this little crafty hobby entails, then let's get into it. So first and foremost, we need to talk about what exactly junk journaling is, because I feel like the term can get a little bit confusing. So I'm going to try my best to kind of narrow it down to help you understand what exactly it entails. I've always found the concept of junk journaling really hard to define exactly, just because it is very much open-ended. I've seen so many different types and styles of junk journaling, so it's impossible to really narrow it down to one specific look. Even the way that I personally consider junk journaling to be can be completely different than what someone else might see it as, and I feel like that's the beauty of it. I feel like it's really meant to be a freedom of expression and creativity, and so because of that, I feel like you can make your junk journal look however you want it to look like. So if that means that you maybe want to draw in it, if you want to write in it, if you want to only use cutouts from magazines, or if you want to follow a cohesive like vintage aesthetic or theme to it, you can. Basically everything about it is completely your choice and up to you, and there's no real set of rules as to how you should junk journal. I'll quickly show you some of my pages that I personally consider to be my junk journal spreads. With my personal style, I like to use a mix of various ephemera, which we'll get into what that is later on in today's video, mixed with photos. But sometimes I won't even use photos and I'll keep the page exclusive to just the junk. But basically the purpose of junk journaling, besides it just being a really creative and fun hobby, is to collect these little bits and pieces of your life and your experiences and store them in a place where you can come back to just like relive those memories, which I think is so special. Hopefully that gave you a better understanding of what exactly it is. Like I mentioned, because it's so open-ended, it can be really hard to define, but hopefully the visuals helped a little bit in that. But now I want to get into the things that you might need to get into this fun crafty hobby. So besides the obvious, which is going to be your notebook or your journal, the number one supply that you will be using in your junk journal is ephemera. So what exactly is ephemera? I'm going to read out the specific definition for it. So it is items of collectible memorabilia, typically written or printed ones, that were originally expected to have only short-term usefulness or popularity. Definitions are weird, but basically things like business cards, receipts, tickets, stamps, the possibilities for ephemera is basically endless. You can also include items that are more personal to you, so photos, stickers, drawings, or your own writing, like I mentioned. I do have a more detailed video on my channel about what my specific favorite supplies are, so if you are looking for specific recommendations, you can check that video out. But another thing that I really do love about junk journaling is that your supplies can just be the junk itself, meaning that it can be free and you don't need a million different supplies to get into it. So different tapes and stickers and scissors and stuff like that is unnecessary, even though I do love that stuff. For junk journaling, you really only need those bits and bobs of ephemera. So personally for me and my style, I always like to start my spreads off with a background. My favorite thing to use right now as a background is a paper bag. As strange as that may sound to a non-junk journaler, it is the best. Since it's so thin, it doesn't chunk up your journal and take up a lot of space between the pages, which I love. And also the shade of brown that it is tends to match the aesthetic of my pages really well, which I also love. Some other honorable mentions that I like to use as background is ripped up book pages, music sheets, sheets, glassine bags, and then of course your classic scrapbook paper. And then once I have my background on my page, it's kind of a free-for-all from there. I will just allow myself to be creative and collage whichever ephemera that I picked out. But that's basically all you need. The junk itself, of course, like I mentioned, is usually like free memorabilia that you would get, but a lot of the additional supplies can also be thrifted too, which is super fun. But now let's get into the tips and tricks that I've learned throughout my years of junk journaling that might help you out too. So first and foremost, I feel like I'm beginning to say this in every one of my videos, but it's just so important that I have to mention it once again, and that is to not put pressure on yourself when you are journaling. Your spread does not have to look perfect or come out exactly the way that you may have envisioned it to look. Especially with junk journaling, I feel like your page is supposed to look messy, so you should allow yourself to make those little mistakes and let the page look as unique as possible. It will just make the overall process of journaling a lot more fun and relaxing when you let go of that perfectionist mindset. My other tip is in regards to actually collecting your junk and ephemera. And to be completely honest, it took a really long time for me to remember to actually take that business card or keep that receipt whenever I went out. I feel like the more you junk journal, the more that you will be inclined to remember to pick up those little bits and bobs when you're out. I will say that telling your friends or just people that you hang out with the most that you are starting a junk journal might help. I find that my friends and family will actually remember to keep their receipts or tags or grab the business card when we're out, so that definitely helps too, and it's just really cute to have your friends and family involved in your junk journaling journey. And then in terms of storing all your junk, I either will keep them in a shoebox that I have, like bigger pieces of ephemera in there, and then I also have a little tray in my desk where I will just like put in the receipts or tags from my purse. It's nice to have it all in one spot because that way when you're sitting down to journal, you can just grab that tray and then sift through whatever you have. So now I want to bring you guys over to my desk so we can walk through my process for creating a junk journal page. Like I mentioned, since junk journaling is so open-ended, it might be easier to actually show you guys the process rather than just talking about it. I'm really excited about the page that I'm making today because it's all about a little weekend trip that I went on, so I have quite a bit of receipts and business cards that I can use. So let's go over there and get started with creating this page. Okay, so like I mentioned to you guys, today's spread is going to be all about a little weekend trip that I went on, and with my personal style, like I also mentioned, I love incorporating my personal photos along with the junk that I collected. So of course I laid out a bunch of photos that I took from the weekend, and I'm going to cut those out. And then of course I have all of the many different receipts and business cards and things that I collected from the weekend that I will incorporate in the spread as well. I feel like something about junk journaling that I also love is just how intentional it feels and just how relaxing it is to just take time without a phone, without any distractions, and just sit at your desk. I should have also mentioned this when I was talking about all my favorite tips, but I love wearing comfy clothes while I journal. There's something about it that just adds to the overall experience, like I mentioned. It just makes me feel very cozy and relaxed. I actually got this little sweat set sent to me by the brand Alfaric Eden. This is not sponsored at all. They just sent over some pieces to me to try out, which was very kind of them. They're having a 11th anniversary sale, I believe. I'll have all of the information, discount code, whatever, in the description of the video if you guys happen to like this and are interested. It is very good quality, so you guys should check it out if you're in need of some new journaling attire. But even just lighting a candle or putting on your favorite TV show, just setting the ambiance in wherever you're journaling, it just makes the experience that much better. Typically I love watching YouTube videos while I journal. Let me know if you guys like watching my videos or just other journal with me style videos while you journal too. It kind of almost feels like you are journaling alongside with someone, which is such a nice feeling. Since I don't want to bore you guys with my hours of cutting that's about to happen, I'm going to put on probably a Netflix show or something and finish cutting out these pictures, and then we'll get into the actual process. Okay, so I'm finally ready to actually get into putting this spread together after cutting everything out. Like I mentioned, I always start off with getting my background together. So I have this little scrapbook paper that I printed out, which I've had for a little bit. But before I get into selecting the background color, I actually want to look at the ephemera and photos that I have to kind of decide on a color theme. I should have totally mentioned this when I was going over my tips, but with my personal spreads, I like doing a bit of a cohesive theme to my pages. Here I'm going to take out all of the ephemera and photos that I plan to use in today's spread and kind of look at all of the colors of them and see what kind of background would look best. I think for this spread here, I'm going to use this blue striped background. So once I stick this down, I think I'm also going to layer some paper bag scraps over top just so that I can still have a little bit of the like warmer brown tones in the background as well. So for the secondary background, so to speak, this is the point where I would put larger pieces of ephemera, such as this receipt here. So I think I might layer this up right here and then kind of do the photos and everything else in the other areas. So next up, I'm going to layer the business cards and the photos that I have together on the page and see what it looks like. Okay, so I think I'm done with this little layout here. It definitely took me a while to layer everything the way that I wanted to, but I'm definitely happy with it. I ended up only skipping out on a couple of pieces here, which I'm really happy about because I was able to fit as much as I could. So for the gluing process, first things first, I will always grab my phone and just take a picture of the layout so that way I can remember where everything was placed. And then as for gluing, I will always use my regular glue stick to lay down the thinner pieces of paper. So like you saw, I glued the receipt, and then any of the photos I will just use this since these were printed on regular printer paper. But then for the business cards here, which of course is a thicker cardstock, I will use glue tape. This is the one that I use. It's just from the dollar store, but any glue tape basically works the same, I find. So yeah, this is basically like the third layer of the journal page. We have only a few other steps left in the process, so let's go ahead and glue this all down. Now I'm going to firstly grab some washi tape. This is probably one of my absolute favorite things to decorate my page with. So I like to usually take a piece and actually rip it in half because I find that the width of this is a little bit on the thicker side. So if I rip it in half, I typically will get the perfect width that I like, and I'm just going to stick this around to my heart's desire. I'm in the mood to add some doodles here, and the craft paper or paper bag is perfect to write and draw on, so I'm just gonna add some sparkles and little doodles. Okay, now it's time for stickers. I also added this little printed element that I found on Pinterest, which I thought was cute. I think I'm going to just pick out some simple stickers for this one, and I'm just going to take a look at my collection and pick out what I think would fit the vibe best. Okay, I think we're all done with today's journal spread here. I'm really excited about the way that this one turned out and just how I was able to incorporate the ephemera that I collected along with the photos that I took. Unfortunately, I didn't get as much ephemera as I would have hoped, but I think I was able to work with what I had. This definitely isn't the junkiest of junk journal pages that I've done. Typically, what you would think is a traditional junk journal page is focused on only ephemera, like I kind of mentioned. So a spread like this, for example, where it's just junk packaging, is definitely more of a standard junk journal page that you would typically see versus the one that I made today. But I'm still really happy with the way that it turned out. And like I mentioned, everyone's junk journal style is different, and this just happens to be mine. I really hope this video gave you some inspiration to start your own junk journal, or if you already have one, maybe just give you some extra tips and tricks that you can try out. If you have any more questions that I maybe didn't touch on in today's video, please leave them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.